Hey everyone, get ready because today we are going deep, and I mean deep, into Jessica Irvine's The Money Diary.
Yeah, we're talking budgets, we're talking mindsets, we're talking about finally understanding your money.
No pressure to become a financial expert or anything, but get ready for some serious aha moments, about your relationship with your money.
And what's so cool about Irvine's approach, I think, is that she mixes this like practical money management stuff with psychology,
Totally.
which I think is huge because ever wonder why you buy those shoes after a bad day?
It's a thing.
We're going to unpack that.
Yes. Speaking of unpacking, Irvine talks about this thing called a money mind map, and honestly, for me, game changer. Have you ever felt like you're just on autopilot with your finances?
Oh, yeah.
Just like swiping the credit card without thinking? Yeah, this is where the money mind map comes in. It's like you hit the brakes and you figure out what is really driving those money decisions.
Yeah, it's like instead of just seeing the what, oh, there goes another $100 on takeout, you actually understand the why behind it.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, I think that's often the harder part.
It's so true.
Even Irvine, she talks about how she initially struggled to even identify her own money emotions.
Yeah. She has that hilarious anecdote where she tells her therapist that she feels analytical about a financial situation.
Right.
Like, analytical is not an emotion, Jessica, but it just goes to show you we often misinterpret or bury those true feelings about money. Okay, so how do we actually create this money mind map?
So it's a four-step process, which sounds a little overwhelming, but it's really not.
Okay.
So the first thing is, think about a recent money situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's getting paid or it's paying bills or even just thinking about your finances in general.
Yeah.
What's the dominant emotion that you feel?
Okay.
And Irvine gives this really handy emotions wheel in her book, but even if you just name it, are you feeling happy, stressed, anxious? That's a great start.
So let's say you're feeling anxious about an upcoming vacation.
Okay.
Step one, done. What's next?
All right, so then we got to dig a little deeper, right? Why are you anxious? Is it the fear of, not having enough saved up? Are you worried about, overspending like you did on your last trip?
Oh, yeah?
We've all been there. It's really about, pinpointing those thoughts and beliefs that are fueling that anxiety.
Okay, so face those money gremlins head on. I like it. But what if those negative thoughts are still, holding you back?
Yes, so that's where step 3 comes in. This is all about challenging those beliefs.
Okay.
So ask yourself, are they really true? Let's say instead of assuming you're going to blow your budget on vacation again, could you maybe consider, hey, I've actually made some progress with saving and budgeting this year.
Ooh. Okay, so reframe those thoughts.
Exactly.
Turn, I always overspend into I'm learning and getting better with money, especially with these tools. I like it. What's the final step?
Okay, so the final step is called opposite action. And it's really about breaking those ingrained patterns, and not just with finances, honestly, with anything where fear or negativity is holding you back. Remember how certain emotions kind of trigger those specific urges?
Yeah, fear makes us want to avoid and excitement makes us want to jump in head first.
Exactly. Opposite action means doing the opposite of what that automatic urge is telling you to do, especially if it's coming from that negative emotion. So instead of maybe avoiding your bank statements because you're scared to look at them,
Yep.
you choose to actually review them regularly because you're equipping yourself with knowledge.
Okay.
And that makes you feel more in control.
It's if your gut reaction is to hide from your finances, opposite action might be scheduling a money date with yourself. Candles optional.
I love that. A money date.
To actually sit down and check in on that budget. So you're
Yeah.
consciously choosing a different path.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is huge for changing your money mindset.
Yeah.
But understanding is only half of the battle. We need practical tools
Yes.
to put all these insights into action.
Okay. So we've mapped our money mindsets, faced those gremlins. Now let's talk tools. Irvine has this really, really cool concept called future funds. And I'm telling you, for me, it's been a game changer. I am a super visual person.
Yeah.
So anything that lets me color code and track my progress, I'm there. Highlighters, anyone.
Oh, I see that highlighter addiction really coming in handy.
Yeah.
And, I think that visual aspect really is key, especially when it comes to keeping those future you promises.
Totally.
So future funds, they're all about tackling those big, lumpy expenses that can totally, throw a wrench in your monthly budget,
Yes,
right?
sir.
We're talking things like car maintenance, holidays, even those, oh no, it's their birthday again. gifts.
It's so true. And before future funds, I'd have months where I'd be like, oh, I have a little extra cash, and then bam, surprise car repair, and just like gone.
Yeah. And the beauty of the future funds is you're not caught off guard.
Yeah.
So basically, you calculate how much you need to be putting aside each month for each anticipated expense. So you're basically spreading that cost out over time instead of getting hit with this like giant bill all at once.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets interesting. So Irvine doesn't necessarily say you need to have a separate bank account for each of these funds.
Okay.
It's more about like a mental shift.
Wait, hold on. Rewind. A mental shift.
Yes. It's about, she uses this word hypothecating
Okay.
those funds. And so think of it this way. So you have your main account, right, for like your bills and your everyday spending.
Right.
But within that account, you're mentally earmarking a portion of it for, say, your holiday fund or your car repair fund. So even though it's like all in one place,
Okay.
you're kind of treating it as off limits until those expenses actually come up.
Okay, so instead of just being like, oh, I have an extra $50 this month, it's like, that $50 is going straight to my new phone fund.
You got it. Like that mental shift, it makes a huge difference in how you then view like your available funds.
Interesting.
Because you're less tempted, right, to spend money that you've already kind of like allocated in your head, even if it's not physically sitting in a different account.
It's like you're tricking your brain into being smarter. I like it.
A little bit, yeah.
So where do we start if we want to make these future funds?
So Irvine recommends starting with at least two. So holidays and then gift giving.
Okay.
These are two areas where it's really easy to overspend if you're not careful, you know.
Tell me about it. Holidays especially, between travel and gifts and, oh my gosh, all those holiday drinks, it adds up so fast.
Yes.
And gift giving, I feel like it's just year-round. Birthdays, weddings, baby showers, it never ends.
It's true. So having those future funds already set up just takes the guesswork out of budgeting for those occasions.
Yeah.
You know, you're prepared, you're in control, and you can actually enjoy it instead of just stressing about the cost the whole time.
I love that.
But future funds are just one piece of the puzzle. So Irvine stresses that the foundation of her entire system really hinges on something we haven't even touched on yet, and that is tracking your spending.
Oh.
And here's the thing. Even if you're not actively trying to spend less, this is still such valuable information to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were talking about before, those autopilot habits.
Exactly.
You might think you know where your money's going, but like until you actually track it, it's anyone's guess, really.
Exactly. And so this is where Irvine's spending tracker comes in. She is all about categorizing every single expense with laser focus. I'm talking 10 main budget categories,
Okay.
each with their own subcategories. So we're really making sure that every dollar is accounted for.
Wait, subcategories. Okay, this is sounding a little intense, like spreadsheet warrior level.
I hear you. It might seem a little daunting, but think about it this way. The more detailed you are with your tracking, the more insightful that data becomes. So for example, instead of just like lumping all your grocery store purchases into like one big food category,
Okay.
you'd actually break it down further. So fresh produce, snacks, pantry staples, even those cleaning supplies that you grab while you're there, those would all get their own little slots.
So it's like painting this super, super clear picture of where your money's actually going.
Yes, and you might be surprised what you find out. And honestly, I think that awareness is where the magic really happens.
Okay, so we're catching these spending habits red-handed with our super detailed tracker.
We are.
But why does it really matter so much? Like, is it just about being able to create this beautiful spreadsheet?
Well, I mean, listen, who doesn't love a good spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think the benefits of this kind of like awareness, it goes way beyond just aesthetics, you know?
Okay.
So imagine, for example, you're applying for a loan. Right. Knowing exactly how much you're spending every month means that you can confidently like state your living expenses.
Yeah.
There's no more guesstimating.
Right.
And that can actually help you like secure much better loan terms.
Well, that makes sense. No more like awkwardly lowballing my monthly expenses because I'm not really sure how much I spend on takeout coffee.
Exactly. But it even goes like deeper than loans. Even when you have this like really solid understanding of where your money's going.
Yeah.
Planning for retirement becomes less about those like vague anxieties
Right.
and more about like, okay, I'm going to make informed decisions based on my actual needs.
So instead of like panicking about how much money I'll need in retirement, I can actually use my tracker to kind of like figure out a realistic number
Yes,
based on my current lifestyle.
precisely.
That makes me feel better already.
Right. And even like building a solid emergency fund, it becomes less about like this arbitrary number,
Yeah.
and more about creating this safety net that actually reflects your real spending.
So it's like knowing, okay, I need X amount of dollars to cover my essential expenses for 3 months.
Exactly.
It takes like a lot of the stress out of it.
It does. It does. And here's a thought too.
Okay.
This financial awareness could actually like empower you to negotiate a raise
Oh,
or even consider like a total career change.
wow.
Because when you know your worth, right,
Right.
both financially, but then also in terms of like your skills, your contributions,
Yeah.
you can really advocate for yourself much more effectively.
Wow, I never even thought of it like that. So it's not even just about like being good with spreadsheets. It's
Right.
about using that information, that knowledge
Yeah.
to make like these huge life choices.
Absolutely.
I love that. And one thing I really appreciate about Irvine is she really emphasizes finding joy in this journey.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about obsessing over the numbers.
Yes, it's so important. And she actually has like a whole section in the book
Yeah.
dedicated to reflection activities.
Really?
Things like identifying the top 10 purchases that brought you the most joy, the most cherished moments throughout the year, even like your proudest work achievements.
I love it. It's like a gratitude journal, but for your finances.
Exactly. It's about remembering that like money isn't just about these bills and these budgets.
Right.
It's about the experiences it provides,
Yeah.
the values that it supports.
I'd love that.
And so by reflecting on what truly sparks joy for you,
Yeah.
you start to uncover those core values,
Mhm.
and then you can make sure that your spending actually aligns with like what matters most to you.
Yeah. Did those expensive shoes actually make you happy, or was it the confidence boost
Yes.
that they gave you? Did that weekend getaway, did that bring you closer to your loved ones?
Right. It's about asking those questions.
I love that. And it's like aligning your spending with your values.
Yes.
So good.
And honestly, like that's the core message of Irvine's book. It's you do you.
Yeah.
It's not about following some like rigid set of rules.
Right. It's about using this knowledge to make these conscious, informed choices about your money and your life.
It's about taking ownership.
Yes, exactly.
So good. So to wrap things up, if we had to like distill Irvine's message
Right.
into one thought-provoking question,
Okay, I like it.
I think it would be this. If fear pushes us away from our finances and love draws us closer,
Ooh,
what would it look like to nurture a more loving relationship with your money?
that's a really powerful question to like sit with.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and I think for me, maybe it starts with approaching your finances with more curiosity than avoidance.
Ooh.
Appreciate the opportunities that it provides.
Yes.
And just being really mindful and intentional with every spending decision that you make.
Love it. Food for thought, everyone. We hope this deep dive into the money diary has given you some really valuable tools
Yes.
and insights to master that money mindset
Absolutely.
and design a life that truly reflects what matters to you.
Because remember, financial well-being, it's a journey.
It's not a destination. Celebrate those wins.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself along the way.
Yes.
And remember, you got this.
You got this.